Welcome to Motivated to Lead podcast, helping you become a better leader. I'm your host, Mark Klingsheim.
Hi everyone, Mark Klingsheim with COO Partners. Glad you could join us today for a conversation with Dave Keil. Dave has had a successful career as an executive with brands such as General Mills, Ecolab, was the CEO of Honey Baked Hams, and is currently the COO Operating Partner at Franworth, a growth equity firm. He is a CEO of one of their brands, the Lash Lounge, and looking forward to our conversation with Dave today. Dave, can you give us just a little bit of your background, a little bit of overview of your career?
Absolutely. I was born in Texas, moved a ton as a kid, so moved 15 times, got to experience much.
Wow.
Landed in suburban Philadelphia for high school. Went to Michigan undergrad. I was an engineer by training. Met and then later married my college sweetheart, Jenny. We've been married 31 years now. And then really jumped right into the Fortune 500 world. So I spent about 28 years in Fortune 500 land. Frito-Lay for about 10 years where I was an engineer, worked my way up within operations at Frito-Lay, jumped over to finance and sales. Along the way, got my MBA, so in finance. Then made a jump to Pillsbury that was later acquired by General Mills. So I spent about 9 or 10 years there, where I learned how to be a marketer, learned franchising for the first time, that will come into play later. I got the deal bug, so began to do M&A, and we can talk about that later. I've done some fun deals in my day. And then jumped to a company called Ecolab. They're in the Twin Cities market. Large, when I joined, was maybe $4 billion. Today, it's $15 billion. Was really there in about the 10 years of significant growth. I did mergers and acquisitions. I ran the healthcare division. I integrated the largest acquisition that Ecolab has done, a company called an $8 billion deal called Nowco. And then I jumped to more entrepreneurial ventures. I was the first CEO, outside the family CEO of the Honey Baked Ham Company, a franchisor with about 400 units. Doubled profitability there, so had a great run there. Then jumped to another franchisor called Pure Barre. Pure Barre is a boutique fitness company, the second biggest on the planet, with about 500 units, where I led a turnaround as well, changing same-store sales. And then we just sold that business here a few months ago. And now I'm with a company called Franworth Dave. We take these small, emerging businesses that maybe have a handful of units. We apply a franchise system and then grow them to big. So brands like Tidal Boxing Club or City Row and Boutique, fitness, brands like the Lash Lounge, that does eyelash extensions, or Spavia, and beauty and wellness, and then we have a food and beverage concept. So we have 5 brands today. We've got another 4 that are coming on here later this year.
Great. Well, when you think back to when you were a 20-something, just entering the workforce, if you could go back knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to yourself?
One, and I learned this early, was to be the same man in all aspects of our life, right? So I think, particularly early on, I was working in a manufacturing environment, and, there was one Dave Keil persona at work, and there was another one at home, and another one at church on Sunday. So I think I was, trying, and part of this was my moving around so much. I mentioned that
Sure.
I was having to be with a chameleon and fit in, and I was the new guy. So I think that applied into my professional life. And I realized, I certainly realize now, and wish I knew then, just to be myself, in all those environments, and that authenticity. I think also being a little bit more, I always thought you had to have it all together all the time, and I've certainly learned over the years that being real and transparent and more vulnerable is certainly, a great way to lead. It's to lead in that real, very real way.
Sure. Is there any advice that you received early on that, looking back on it, you should have ignored?
No. thought you were going the other way. I mean, I got a lot of great advice about, share bad news quickly. And so that was certainly something that I held on to, and I think it's not an easy lesson to learn as a young leader. Often you cover something up. So that was something good. I didn't have great role models around me in those younger days. I mean, PepsiCo at the time was kind of an up or out type of place. The people around me were not great examples of living out a full life. And I think that's probably the biggest lessons I learned, just looking at the leaders around me. And sure, they got great results in the workplace, but there was, high incidence of divorce and just people, just weren't being their best selves. And I think that's certainly something through observation that I saw in my career growing up, is that, again, kind of back to that being one person, living my best life. That was absolutely the best that I saw from people around me that focused 100% on work, not on, all aspects.
Sure. So when you think back, entering into the career, did you was it intentional, your career path, or did you discover it as you went?
I absolutely discovered it as I went. I mean, I was an industrial engineer at a leadership position, really following in my father's footsteps. He was an industrial engineer who entered in a manufacturing world. So I knew I wanted to lead. That I knew. And that was really Frito-Lay at the time. This is 35 years ago. Was hiring. Really, I think it was the second year of people hiring into management straight out of engineering school. So I knew I wanted to lead, but I didn't know the area. And I think I found over the years that I did have a gift for leadership. I had a gift for taking some complex things and simplifying them, getting crisp on strategy and turning that into a way to execute in a way that everyone understood their role in that. But the whole M&A piece was something that I came to love, finding the blend of strategy and deal-making and negotiation with the modeling side of it, with the human change element of it, and then leading into the leadership of it. I've led a few things that I've completed a deal on. Happy to find that later in my life.
Got it. So what's been the biggest change since you've made the switch from more of a corporate, large company background to more of an entrepreneurial environment?
It's in the Fortune 500 world, there are layers and layers and layers of support and protection around executives. So if I needed $20 million to go do a deal at General Mills, I'd call my buddy Ching Ming and Treasury and say, hey, Ching Ming, I need $20 million. When you're off on your own, there's no Treasury department to go
to
the phone. And when it's time to go write an HR policy or to deal with a tricky situation, having to go build that infrastructure to support the business. The other big learning was just the role of a board of directors. That was something new to me. I'd always had a hierarchy of bosses and had pitched to a few boards of directors in the Fortune 500 world. So that prepared me well, but just entering into a family-owned enterprise that was Hamlet, a private equity-held business, which is where Pure Barre was, a whole different world of what interests are, what motivations are. So that was a big, big change. On the flip side, the autonomy and the speed at which you can move was absolutely significant. Just give you one example, at Pure Barre, we were only doing exercise in a physical location across 450 some odd studios. We saw a need in the market to go enter the digital space, to go all the on-demand type streaming exercises, about 8% of the market. We saw that need, I think, in March, and by June, we had an offering up. And today, it's a very lucrative business with some 40,000 members. That would never have happened that quick from idea to implementation in the Fortune 500.
Yeah. So when you think back on books that you've read throughout your life, are there some that have influenced you the most and you'd recommend for any leader?
I would, Mark. Probably the one I reference and give out the most. I guess that's how I would classify these. Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher is just an incredible book, just a classic on negotiation. It came out of the Harvard negotiation project. Roger Fisher was a Harvard guy. who really started talking about interest-based negotiations. So instead of positional, where you want to sell me a car for $20,000 and I want to buy it for 10, and we end up on 15. It's really we understand what one another's interests are. We grow the pie, and we find a common interest. I've used that in deal making and negotiating, and a lot of life is negotiating. Whether it's in a relationship, when it's with
right.
So I think that was absolutely seminal for me, and a highly recommended one. Another one, Greg McCowan wrote a book called Essentialism that I love and I give out a lot. In fact, I just gave it to a partner of mine here who's stepping in and leading a business, one of our new businesses. And he said it was a game changer for him. It certainly was for me. This is all about really understanding what's the one thing. What's in any business in your life? What's the one thing? And just some real practical thing on that. And then one I've read here in the last year that I just love is there's a Christian author named Bob Goff who wrote Love Does that I just absolutely love. I think the essence that I took out of that book was the thing that Jesus said in the Bible about feeding those that are hungry and clothing those that don't have clothes. It wasn't very complicated. That's actually what he meant, was actually go do that. Really go do that. And I think I often ask myself, hey, what would love have for you? And I think that's something that I think Bob spoke about very clearly and plainly and lives a model like that. So those are probably the three marks that I would offer up.
So how important is it, do you think, for an executive not only to give back by serving on boards, by being involved in their community? How has that impacted you as an individual?
Yeah, good question. I probably 25 years ago, Mark, made a decision to live on purpose. So that's what I called it. Well before Rick Warren wrote his book, Living on Purpose. So he probably owes me a little bit of royalty.
Yeah, right.
But no, I did make that decision to live on purpose, meaning for me that it wasn't all about just living for success for the next paycheck. And then I was in that time of raising my family. I've got 3 kids, so I was in the middle of that. But I made that decision then to try to have balance, and that's around my faith, physical, like making sure I was working out, taking care of myself, my family, making sure we were taking adventures and seeing the world I've done. Just intellectually being stimulated by reading, stewardship, making sure I was giving back from all the gifts I was given, and also impacting via nonprofits. So back then I said, hey, let me engage in nonprofits. How do I do that? I found it was just super fulfilling. It was, the first one was actually in the Twin Cities that I sat on a group called Dakota Communities, now called Living Well, that does housing for the intellectually developmentally. I was able to give things that I really didn't know that skill set that I had, and a board was hungry for it. They needed help on strategy. They needed help on developing websites. I didn't know that was something that I had a value. So that was really when I discovered that, and then continued to sit on boards and find that. And it's in a place like I did most of that in the Twin Cities, which is where you are. And I find that it's such a philanthropic community, and you get exposed to other people who want to give back. So it's just that, for me, it's always been a blessing, and hopefully I've blessed other companies in doing so. But more than anything, I got to go, lead something, or lead a marketing campaign, or lead a strategy where in my day job, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's a good thing as well.
Right. So if you were to talk to somebody who's putting together their first executive team, what advice would you give them as they're putting that team together? What are some things that you should be thinking about?
Yeah, I've done that a few times, Mark, and I think I always think you've got to start with what's the work you do. So you really got to make sure that you understand the mission of the organization, what its needs are. I've never been a believer that you start with the talent you have and then, fit them in to the strategy. I think it's got to go the other way. I think the strategy's got to lead then the talent. And it's funny, I coach on this all the time. Earlier today, I coached on it. Hey, let's understand what we're doing first before we slot the team. So I think first it's got to start with both the strategy. And then you have to understand, what's needed. When I went into Pure Barre, I knew I needed the founder back because we had lost our way. I knew I needed a strong finance person.
Right.
I needed a head of operations. I knew I needed someone to help me on the digital ideas. So we started with a strategy, and then we popped in, who the talent was.
What are some of your favorite interview questions as you're interviewing executives for a team?
I always, my favorite ones are two-part questions. And so I try to do that in a way, it's not meant to be tricky, but it's meant to be, if people can actually answer the question, how do they answer it in what order? Do they forget about the second question? The second part of the two-part question. So that's always a trick if I book for people in the future that may be interviewing with me. I'll always pull out a two-part question. And then I was always taught this behavior. Tell me about a time when. And I think that speaks to really how, if people can give you an example about how they dealt with something.
Anything that, as far as technology or apps that have made a difference in your productivity, have made your life easier or better?
Yeah, I use Evernote, and I've found that super helpful. Particularly,
sure.
I've always had a bunch of people that work with me, and so I would have my mark list. The things that you and I need to talk about if we had an update. So I've always used that. And more recently, we've been using Asana, which is just a very simple project management tool. So when I was at Ecolab, I had the privilege of leading a massive PMO. We had 1,200 project managers, 6 master black belts, a couple hundred black belts and green belts, scattered around 31 deployments around the world. So I've seen project management done well. But most people don't know how to, can't do that. Asana, I don't know how to say it. But it's just a simple tool that we use to manage many of our projects. So it's got simple timelines. You can break things into work streams. You can assign tasks, and it integrates with the Google Suite. So that's been really helpful here lately.
Good. Any parting advice that you would give to a new executive?
I think it's just a wrap into what I've said thus far, which is things I learned early on about always be yourself. Be transparent about what's important to you. Be open and transparent and vulnerable with things that maybe you learned along the way, and try to live that full life. So I think don't ever be shy about sharing that your faith is important, your physical, your family, those types of things. I think helping about what's truly important to me as an executive always helps me build a better relationship and have people lean in and share their true selves as well.
Great. Well, thanks again, Dave. We appreciated your time and the insights you've shared today. Thank you for listening to the Motivated to Lead podcast. Please subscribe on iTunes. You can also see a video version of this interview at motivatedtolead.com. This podcast is brought to you by SEMA Partners, helping you find your next great leader.